very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Let's get started. Our top focus tonight is on the US-Venezuela military operation. We are telling you more about that operation and where things stand right now, along with the key developments and the big questions. Can the United States run another country in the 21st century? How is the world reacting at this point? What does America want from Venezuela? And where do things go from here? All this and more coming up. US President Donald Trump has sent a big warning to the world. Obey or face the consequences. It may have started with Venezuela, but now Cuba, Colombia, even Greenland are in his sight. And this is not just about one strike. It's about oil. It's about energy routes. It's about power for the United States. And America, under Trump, has put concepts like sovereignty of a country, democracy, international law and order back on the back burner, it seems. And the world is watching. How far will America go? Who will truly pay the price for all of this? We're asking those questions tonight. First, let's just get you up to speed with the developments and what Donald Trump has said today. Speaking aboard Air Force One, the American president declared that Cuba is ready to fall. Cuba is ready to fall, arguing that Havana can no longer survive without heavily subsidized Venezuelan oil. In fact, he insisted that America would not even need to intervene militarily. Let's play out that statement for you first.
Cuba is ready to fall. You know? Yes. Cuba looks like it's ready to fall.
And at the same time, Trump also doubled down on another claim that he has made repeatedly, that America needs Greenland for national security. Of course, strong objections came in from Denmark and Greenland's leaders. Trump said Washington would return to the issue soon, but then these remarks are not happening in isolation. It comes as the world remains in shock following the US Special Forces shock military operation that unfolded in Venezuela over the weekend. America captured Nicolás Maduro, flew him to New York, where he is to face narco trafficking charges. And despite the success of the initial US operation, questions are, of course, mounting over Trump's Venezuela strategy and what's really going on here. When asked who is running Venezuela, Trump responded to that. It means we are in charge. That's what he says. Trump says that America would run Venezuela, fix it, and hold elections later. This after he described Venezuela as a broken country. Those were the words used, broken country. But then the US Secretary of State stressed on Sunday that Washington is not seeking complete regime change or elections. He told the press that America is fighting drug traffickers and not a war against Venezuela. But then the message from Washington is absolutely clear. Elections can wait, but control, specifically US control, comes first. And when asked whether this was about oil or regime change, Trump said, I'm quoting again, it's about peace on earth. In Venezuela, residents are lining up for food, hospitals refusing to release casualty numbers, doctors' groups saying dozens may have been killed.
Salió a las calles de Caracas a decirle al mundo que levante la voz por el secuestro de nuestro presidente.
So the question really is, can America realistically run Venezuela now? Because the shockwaves are spreading fast and beyond, well beyond Caracas. In Colombia, for that matter, left-wing guerrilla groups are vowing to confront what they call U.S. imperial plans after the U.S. president accused Colombia's president of running cocaine operations and even hinted at possible military action. Colombia's president reacted sharply, saying, and I'm quoting here, "Friends do not bomb." Colombia has also reinforced its border with Venezuela and issued alerts for possible attacks by the armed groups. And then there is Greenland, of course. Its prime minister has also issued a rare public warning to Washington. I'm quoting from that statement. That's enough now. No more pressure, no more fantasies of annexation. That statement on your screen. No more fantasies of annexation. European leaders, meanwhile, have also closed ranks behind Denmark. Remember, Greenland is an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark. So what does America's action and also its president's warning mean when you put all of that together? The thing is, Trump has directly said that this looks like a modern revival of the Monroe Doctrine, a 19th century idea that the Western Hemisphere is America's sphere of influence, where outside powers stay out. And Washington calls the shots. The difference here really is, in the 19th century, empires expanded by force. It was considered legal. But this is the 21st century, remember. Conquest means violation of international law, which then raises the core question that we're all asking tonight. Can a 19th century doctrine really work in the 21st century? And up to speed with the latest now, Venezuela's captured leader, Nicolás Maduro, has been brought to court in Manhattan to face criminal drug charges, along with his wife. Let's just get in further updates now from our correspondent, Susan Teherani, who's been tracking those developments on the ground for the very latest. Susan, tell us more about what you're gathering at this point. A lot of questions, a lot of speculation, at the same time curiosity about what lies ahead. But tell us more about what is expected to unfold.
I'm standing outside the courthouse where Nicolás Maduro is currently inside along with his wife. He's going to face his charges today by a judge. Those include narco-terrorism charges, conspiracy to import cocaine to the United States, weapons offenses linked to drug trafficking, and coordination with Colombia's FARC, which is a group designated by the United States as being a terrorist entity. This is Nicolás Maduro and his wife's arraignment. His wife is going to be charged on conspiracy charges regarding cocaine and drug trafficking as well. And it's expected to be very fast. Then the prosecutors are going to tell the judge how long it's going to take for them to gather the evidence and put together this case, although the case has really been put together since the first Trump presidency all the way into the Biden presidency and again, Trump's second term. It's going to be very fast, but he is not going to be able to defend himself, although he's pleading not guilty, perhaps a year from now in 2027. You have to think about jury selection and putting all of this material together. The prosecutors really have their hands full, and we're probably going to get that court hearing in 2027, and it's going to be a years-long process. We are expected to hear from the judge to say that he's going to be detained without bail. Whether or not he's going to stay at the Metropolitan Detention Center or not, that's yet to be seen. We're going to get a lot of details after this arraignment takes place. But I will tell you, while this is very procedural, it's almost as procedural as any other individual who is facing drug and narco-terrorism charges. It's going to have geopolitical implications. Now, we are expected to hear that Maduro is going to deny all the charges and he's going to pin them on American imperialism. There's going to be a lot of debate on whether or not it was justified for the United States to take a leader of a sovereign country. Then the debate for that is because the many Western countries, including the United States, did not recognize Maduro as the legitimate leader of Venezuela. He was disputed after the election recently in 2024 and the election previous to that as well. So this is going to be very mundane inside, but outside of the courtroom, it appears, is where the action is. Molly, if you'd like, I can show you what we're witnessing. While there is a trove of international and national media gathered here, what I'm showing you right now is a group of protesters, a humble group that has grown in size. Some are protesting Maduro's detainment. There are others with Trump and Venezuelan flags who are in support of Maduro being in this courthouse and being extradited to the United States. There was some skirmishes between the protesters over there across the street, and it appears that the police have tampered it down by putting a barricade between the supporters of Maduro, who call this a quote-unquote kidnapping, and those who are on the side of the United States and say that his detention was basically justified. So a lot of action happening here outside, but it is inside the courtroom that we're going to get the news and the headlines. I do want to also say that as we are standing here outside of this courtroom downtown, Midtown Manhattan is where the United Nations is. The Security Council is holding an emergency meeting right now. Russia and China supported it. Venezuela's ambassador is sitting in that Security Council meeting. It is expected to speak. The U.S. ambassador, Mike Waltz, is also there. A number of countries, including Iran and Cuba, have requested to speak at that meeting as well. Of course, we are expected to hear varying viewpoints regarding this issue at the tables and at the table at the Security Council as well. So we'll bring you all the latest regarding that as well. But nonetheless, an extraordinary day to see the leader, once the disputed leader and now the deposed leader of Venezuela and his wife in handcuffs, less than 72 hours after he was essentially running Venezuela, and now he's here in New York.
Indeed, a lot to take in, definitely. Susan getting us those updates right outside the court where Nicolás Maduro will be appearing in just a while from now. Of course, we've been also putting together the reactions and the developments. The UN Security Council, as Susan also said, currently meeting on Venezuela. The UN Secretary General, in fact, has called for respect for the political independence of states after Trump said that America is in charge of Venezuela. Susan, I want to get in a sense from you of the sentiment on the ground overall and how these developments really have been reported in the United States, and specifically talking about what we heard earlier from Trump, categorically saying that America is in charge.
Right. But there has been some pushback from Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Sunday, saying that it doesn't mean that America is going to be completely in charge of Venezuela. It appears that the messaging from the White House hasn't been very clear on the next steps moving forward. And that may be intentional, Molly. It doesn't seem to be accidental. But nonetheless, at this point, there are, those that support this wholeheartedly, full-fledged. And those that oppose it, they are very cautiously opposing it, at least in public and in government. They're saying that they do agree that Maduro was not the right leader for Venezuela and he was putting his population under suffering. But they're also concerned at the manner that the United States carried out this operation. And they're also concerned that how and to what extent the United States is going to be involved in Venezuela. On the ground, when you talk to ordinary Venezuelans, they're fired up, they're very passionate. Many of them, the diaspora here in New York and across the United States, are thanking President Trump for doing this. While they acknowledge that things aren't perfect and they're not ideal, and the future is very unknown, to say the least, they believe that Nicolás Maduro was a force of suppression for them. even the illegal migrants who are here in the United States, who've often faced the wrath of this administration, some of them were standing outside of this courthouse saying that they became illegal migrants and crossed the border here in the United States from Venezuela because of Nicolás Maduro and the policies that he had against the country. Nonetheless, there are many who believe that this is American imperialism at its finest. This is just for America to exert influence in the Western Hemisphere, and also that it's more about the oil than bringing a dictator to justice.
And of course, we'll be coming back to you, Susan, for those updates. As you said, that is where the action is, right outside the court. We were earlier discussing about the security arrangements that have been made as well, given the sensitivity attached. Of course, a glimpse of the international media station there. Developments that are being closely monitored from around the world. In fact, this is 2 days after America seized Nicolás Maduro in that surprise military operation. The reactions continue to trickle in. They are swift, they are sharp, and deeply divided at the same time. Let's just start off with how China has reacted. Beijing has condemned the U.S. action in unusually strong language in a way, accusing Washington of acting like a world policeman. Listen up.
We never believe that any country should act as world's policeman, nor do we approve of any country regarding itself as the international judge. The sovereignty and security of all countries should be fully protected under international law.
And China has also made it clear this will not stop at rhetoric. Beijing, along with Russia, backed Colombia's request for an emergency UN Security Council meeting where the legality of the U.S. action will be challenged. Now, all of this is significant given that Venezuela has been one of China's closest strategic partners in Latin America, politically, economically, symbolically. China invested billions in Venezuelan oil, infrastructure, trade, especially as U.S. sanctions tightened. Analysts are saying Maduro's capture is a major blow to China's claim that it offers a non-interventionist alternative to U.S. power politics. China may not intervene militarily, but diplomatically it is expected to lead global opposition at the United Nations. Russia has also condemned the operation as an act of armed aggression, demanding Maduro's immediate release and warning against further escalation. Iran, another close ally of Venezuela, called the seizure illegal, saying abducting a sitting president sets a dangerous precedent. North Korea, for that matter, issued a similar condemnation, calling it a serious encroachment of sovereignty. In Europe, the response has been more nuanced, but no less tense. The European Union saying any political transition in Venezuela must include opposition leaders, including Machado and Edmundo Gonzalez. Despite Trump, remember, dismissing their roles. He's been clear about that as well. EU leaders, meanwhile, have urged restraint and respect for international law. Even while acknowledging Maduro's lack of democratic legitimacy, Britain's Prime Minister said the UK would engage Washington, but added that it would shed no tears over the end of Maduro's regime. Italy stands out here. The Prime Minister, a close Trump ally, has openly defended the US operation, calling it legitimate and offensive. Global markets delivered a split verdict. Safe haven assets like gold and the US dollar surged on heightened geopolitical risks, while oil prices fluctuated as traders weighed the long-term supply prospects, US policy signals, and regime change risks. And finally, streets around the world erupted in protests. In South Korea, demonstrators gathered outside the US embassy, asking how this differs from colonialism. In Madrid, hundreds protested what they called American aggression. In New York, protesters rallied outside the jail where Maduro is being held. But among the Venezuelan diaspora, especially those who fled repression for that matter, scenes of celebration also were witnessed. For some, this is justice. For others, this is regime change by force. And at the center of all of this is that big question. The US is no longer trying to hide. What does America really want from Venezuela? The answer, according to President Trump himself, is access. When asked what he expects from the interim leader there, Trump was quick to respond. He said the US needs, and I'm quoting, total access to Venezuela's oil and to what he called other things needed to rebuild the country. Other things. Venezuela holds the largest proven oil reserves in the world. Remember, control or at least unfettered access would give America significant leverage over global energy flows. Oil prices, petrodollar dominance, especially at a time when China and Russia are challenging US financial power. But some critics are saying this is not a quick win. Years of sanctions, underinvestment, decayed infrastructure mean reviving Venezuela's oil sector would take years and billions of dollars, to say the least. For now, Washington's real power lies elsewhere. The Trump administration continues to blockade Venezuelan oil tankers and has made it clear that economic and military pressure remain options. While no US troops are believed to be inside Venezuela, a large naval force, including an aircraft carrier, remains positioned off its coast. The message is as unambiguous as it gets. This is about control of energy routes, not just a single leader. Washington says its justifications are migration and drugs. Remember, Trump has repeatedly linked Venezuela to mass migration at the US southern border. Since 2013, around 8 million Venezuelans have fled economic collapse and political repression, most to other Latin American countries. Trump has also accused Maduro, without presenting evidence, of emptying prisons and forcing inmates to migrate north. Of course, Caracas denies those claims. On drugs, the Trump administration has argued that Venezuela is a key cocaine transit hub and a big contributor to the fentanyl crisis back home. 2 Venezuelan criminal groups have been designated foreign terrorist organizations, remember. Trump has also claimed that cartel is led by Maduro himself. Critics say this frames a geopolitical power play as a law enforcement operation. Even some opposition figures are cautious. Venezuela's opposition candidate, who claims that he won the 2024 election, has said US intervention was important, but without free elections and the release of political prisoners, it was not enough. So will America's seizure of Maduro fix Venezuela's problems? This is not just about Venezuela. It's about to what extent the US is actually willing to go and what it's willing to normalize. The US did not act through allies. It did not act through the United Nations. It acted alone, by force, and then demanded access. Democracy, if it comes at all, is a secondary question for now. By toppling Maduro without a clear plan, it seems, for what follows, America may have made a point about its power, but it has not yet taken responsibility as such. And that is where the real test would lie. And before we go on any further, a quick look at what else is lined up for you on the show tonight. Amid the Iran protests, and as the US and Israel escalate the rhetoric, what lies ahead? Is this the start of something dangerous? As China hits Taiwan with cyber strikes, what's the strategy here? We're getting you the updates in just a bit. How worried should the world be about a future ruled not by humans but by super intelligent machines? We get to the complete story and why this question is being asked. All this and more coming up. Tonight, the world is getting a clear and consistent message from Washington. Obey or else. President Trump is once again projecting the image of a strongman leader, warning allies and adversaries alike that economic pressure, diplomatic coercion, even military threats remain very much on the table. From trade to war crimes, from tariffs to sanctions, the Trump doctrine appears simple. America sets the rules and the world falls in line, at least they hope. Speaking aboard Air Force One alongside U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, Trump doubled down on his warning of steeper tariffs on Indian imports, even as he praised Prime Minister Modi and highlighted the complexity of the India-U.S. relationship.
They wanted to make me happy, basically. Modi's a very good man. Yes. He's a good guy. He knew I was not happy, and it was important to make me happy. They do trade. And we could raise tariffs on them very quickly, and it would be very bad for them.
The warning comes despite ongoing trade talks and a recent telephonic conversation between the two leaders aimed at preserving bilateral momentum. Tariffs as high as 50%, remember, have already disrupted negotiations. Economic partnership comes with conditions. Senator Graham has even claimed that these measures are the primary reason India has cut back on Russian oil purchases.
We put a 25% tariff on India for buying Russian oil. I was at the Indian ambassador's house about a month ago, and all he wanted to talk about is how they're buying less Russian oil. Would you tell the president to relieve the tariff?
Now, while Trump continues to wield tariffs as a tool of pressure, the question still is looming over Washington. Can he afford a prolonged trade war with India? New Delhi is not just a major export market, remember, but a strategic counterweight to China and a key partner in defense, technology, energy. Escalating tariffs risking undercutting U.S. businesses, disrupting supply chains, pushing India to deepen ties with other global powers. And these tariffs also raising huge doubts over whether such economic coercion will actually deliver gains or will they create lasting strategic costs? Let's now shed more light on all of this. Recently, Trump shared data showing which immigrant groups use welfare in American soil, and India was not on the list. That's because Indian Americans are among the highest earning communities in the US. Studies showing they rely very little on public assistance and pay significantly more in taxes. Experts say Indian Americans are net contributors to the economy and are often called welfare makers and not welfare takers. They also play a key role in job creation. But the pressure does not end with trade. Trump is also seizing on protests in Iran to float the possibility of U.S. military intervention, remember. And this has even sparked backlash from the Republican Party's America First faction, increasingly uneasy with what they see as an interventionist turn in foreign policy. At the same time, the Trump administration is threatening expanded sanctions against the International Criminal Court. According to a report from Reuters, it has warned the court to halt its prosecution of Israeli war crimes and even change its founding statute. All this to ensure that President Trump and his officials remain out of reach of international law. Relations with Nigeria are fast unraveling. The Trump administration and its allies are accusing Abuja of failing to protect Christian communities, with talks of possible U.S. military intervention drawing fierce pushback from Nigeria. The escalation has driven U.S.-Nigerian relations to their lowest point in decades. From Asia to Africa, from global courts to global markets, Trump's tactics hinting that this is an era of unapologetic pressure politics. Iran continues to stand on the edge. A wave of anger fueled by soaring prices and frustration with Iranian authorities has stretched the protests into a 9th straight day. The streets are turning deadlier by the hour. Security forces and demonstrators continue to clash. The violence has already claimed at least 20 lives, including 3 children. And this unrest now spans Iran's major cities, from the capital, Tehran, to the Persian heartland of Shiraz, deep into western regions where the movement has taken a strong hold. Protesters continue to chant against the authorities, and amid all of this, Iran's judiciary has sent out a sharp message as well. While stating that people continue to have the right to protest, it made it clear that it will offer no leniency to quote-unquote rioters. What started out as outrage over the cost of living has spread to 78 cities across 26 provinces. Reports say more than 222 locations have been seeing marches, sit-ins, labor strikes. Police have arrested close to 1,000 people. At least 40 of them are minors. Much of the momentum centering in areas home to Kurdish and Lur communities. In fact, in response, the government now promising financial relief. Officials say reportedly every citizen will receive a monthly allowance, roughly 1 million tomans or $7, which will be credited to their accounts for 4 months. At the same time, Iranian leaders accuse the United States and Israel of trying to fracture the country. A new banner near the former Israeli embassy showing coffins wrapped in US and Israeli flags, warning, quote unquote, watch out for your soldiers. The banner threatens the United States and Israel that Iran could have their soldiers killed if they take military action against it. Against that backdrop and amid the escalating tensions, Iran has conducted an announced missile launch and air defense system test exercise, including in Tehran and Shiraz. The IRGC is yet to issue any official statement confirming the nature or the scope of the military activity, raising the most pertinent question: is Iran preparing for war? This comes amid reports that the US and Israeli leaders could use the ongoing protests as a weapon to target Tehran.
Actions or statements raised by figures such as the Prime Minister of the Zionist regime or some radical American officials regarding Iran's internal affairs amount under international norms to nothing more than incitement to violence, incitement to terrorism, and incitement to killing.
The war of words does not even stop here. US President Donald Trump has warned Iran that Washington will respond forcefully if more demonstrators die, as protests stretched into a second week. Remarks that further heightened tensions after US strikes on Iranian nuclear sites in June.
We're watching it very closely. If they start killing people like they have in the past, I think they're going to get hit very hard by the United States.
Israel's Prime Minister saying his country stands with Iranians demanding change.
Israel's government, the State of Israel, and my policy, we identify with the struggle of the Iranian people and with their aspirations for freedom, liberty, and justice. It is very possible that we are at a moment when the Iranian people are taking their fate into their own hands.
North Korea chose its moment carefully. The specter of regime change, Caracas, is haunting Pyongyang as it responded by testing missiles, which was overseen by Kim Jong-un. Pyongyang launched ballistic missiles towards the sea, a timing that appears far from coincidental. North Korea's state media describing the launch as a demonstration of the readiness of its nuclear forces. Kim Jong-un declared that recent tests showed his country is preparing for an actual war. According to the Korean Central News Agency, these activities are aimed at taking North Korea's nuclear deterrence to a high developed level. In fact, state media images reinforcing the message. Kim Jong-un, flanked by senior officials, calmly smoking as a missile roared into the morning sky. This visual was designed to project control, confidence, and defiance. Kim Jong-un referred to Maduro's capture as geopolitical crisis, saying that Pyongyang has long feared a similar decapitation strike. And the Venezuela episode appears to have reinforced those anxieties. North Korea even condemned Maduro's capture as a serious violation of sovereignty and called it rogue and brutal nature of the United States. This was Pyongyang's first ballistic missile launch since November, when it tested weapons following President Donald Trump's approval of South Korea's plan to build a nuclear-powered submarine. The latest test also comes as North Korea continues to develop hypersonic missiles, advanced weapons that can travel at more than 5 times the speed of sound and can maneuver mid-flight, making them far harder to detect and intercept. This launch also coming ahead of the South Korean president's visit to China, where he is expected to seek Beijing's help in re-engaging Pyongyang and lowering the tensions on the peninsula. For North Korea, the timing is also domestic. A rare and landmark Congress of the ruling Workers' Party expected in the coming weeks. It will come for the first time in 5 years, with economic policy, military strategy and nuclear development all set to dominate the agenda. A 20-year sentence for rape and life imprisonment for killing a journalist seems to matter precious little. In the Indian state of Haryana, Gurmeet Ram Rahim Singh, the man convicted of these crimes, has been released from jail for the 15th time since 2017. 15th time now. This rape convict heading spiritual sect, Dera Sacha Sauda. He has billions of followers, including a significant number of Dalits across Haryana, Punjab, Delhi. He is believed to have sizable political clout and has routinely backed political parties during elections. For instance, reports suggesting that he has asked his supporters to back the BJP in the 2024 Haryana Assembly election. Reportedly, he also made films, produced music albums, remember. When he was sentenced to 20 years in jail, in 2017, for raping 2 of his disciples, riots broke out in North India. Over 30 people were killed, hundreds were injured. Since then, he has been incarcerated in Haryana's jail. Despite these grave offences, he has been temporarily released now from jail for 324 days since 2017. If we look, will benefit Trump justice and public safety. The ruling government will benefit Trump justice and public safety. The ruling government has a lot to explain. Taiwan has been under the radar. China has upped the ante for reunification. Live fire and anti-submarine drills around Taiwan mark the end of 2025. However, military might is not the only weapon in Beijing's arsenal. As a part of its report on China's cyber threats, Taiwan's main intelligence agency, the National Security Bureau, has claimed that China's cyber army launched an average of 2.63 million intrusion attempts every day in 2025 against Taiwan's critical infrastructure. This included sectors like energy, healthcare, communications, administration. Let's just take a closer look now at Taiwan's allegations. It has flagged a 6% increase in China's cyber attacks from 2024. It has identified Black Tech, Flax Typhoon, and others as the main hacker groups. Most of the intrusion attempts centered around the exploitation of hardware and software vulnerabilities. The energy and hospital sectors experienced the biggest surge in cyber attacks. According to Taiwan's National Security Bureau, there were at least 20 attempts to install ransomware in order to compromise the operations of major hospitals. Now, Taiwan also alleging that cyber attacks escalated on 23 occasions when China sent military planes and ships close to Taiwan. It also highlighted a rise in hacking activities when the president, Lai Ching-te, marked his first year in office in May. The country's main intelligence agency stressing that it coordinates with other countries to obtain timely intelligence on China's cyber attacks. However, Taiwan has also faced the brunt of cyber attack allegations. Beijing has accused Taiwanese Defense Ministry's Information, Communications and Electronic Force Command of conducting cyber attacks and spreading fake news on China since 2023. Additionally, Chinese authorities blamed a hacker group backed by Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progressive Party of cyber attacks on close to 1,000 information systems across more than 10 provinces in recent years. With cyber warfare likely to have played a key role in the recent capture of Nicolás Maduro by the US forces in Venezuela, its role in the China-Taiwan conflict will remain under scrutiny and trigger serious concern. It's a brand new year. Some of you must have written down your New Year resolutions as the previous year ended, or maybe you took mental notes thinking of all the things you want to do this year. Was working out one of them? Did you decide to definitely start going to the gym this year, or maybe become more regular with your workouts or any form of physical exercise? Let me ask you, does your decision to work out or maybe try and lose weight or gain weight have anything to do with how the world looks at you? Your body image, in other words. Are you conscious about how your body looks? If yes, you are definitely not alone. In fact, body image anxiety, as it's called, is becoming a big mental health issue among young Indians. Let's just tell you what a new study has found. The study was published in the Journal of Education and Health Promotion. According to it, nearly 1 in 2 young adults at both extremes of body weight suffer from moderate to severe psychological distress linked to body image. Nearly 1 in 2, almost 50%. This was a study of over 1,000 young adults between the ages of 18 and 30. So if you thought this is affecting only those with obesity, that's not the case. It's also affecting people who are underweight. So basically any kind of weight issues. And according to the study, obese youth showed higher self-consciousness and loss of confidence, while underweight youth reported greater anxiety, loneliness, embarrassment. The study also found that while many young adults begin weight loss programs with a lot of motivation, following through becomes a problem. Basically, disengagement is a common hurdle. How overall, over half were constantly weight conscious. 1 in 3 felt less confident. If you find yourself affected by any of these issues, the first step would be to not hide what you're feeling about your body, whatever the issue may be. Talk about it to whoever you can. That's a starter. And if it's affecting your mental health, consider seeking help if you want. After all, this can no longer be a hidden crisis. A warning about a new kind of power rising in silence. Scientists fear a future ruled not by humans, but by super intelligent machines. One physicist is pleading with world leaders before it's too late. Watch our next story to know what really is super intelligence all about.
The world saw the first modern machines during the Industrial Revolution. These machines made human strength irrelevant. Then came artificial intelligence. Right now, it is still below the power of the human mind. But the next generation of AI will surpass the capabilities of the human mind. We are racing to build a mind that could outsmart us, outpace us, and eventually could even erase us. The era of carbon-based intellect is facing its final, most formidable rival. A physicist warning the Pope, tech billionaires sounding alarms, Nobel laureates joining forces with political firebrands. The race towards artificial superintelligence has united the unlikeliest coalition in history, all demanding the same thing. Stop building machines smarter than humans before we lose control forever. MIT physicist Max Tegmark secured over 130,000 signatures for a statement opposing uncontrollable superintelligence. But what exactly is artificial superintelligence? It's a hypothetical software-based system with intellectual powers beyond those of humans across a comprehensive range of categories and fields. It's not just better at chess or mathematics, it's better at everything: creativity, problem-solving, emotional intelligence. Every cognitive task humans can perform, superintelligence can do faster and better. The transition from AGI to ASI could be swift, as an AGI might quickly enhance itself to reach superintelligent levels. That terrifies experts. The risk is subtle, not killer robots, but systems that quietly make decisions about money, medicine, power, and eventually, people. The plea is simple. Treat AI like nuclear technology, with limits, oversight, safety first. Because intelligence is the ultimate power, and once machines surpass us, there is no second chance. Bureau Report, WION. World is one.
Has America been falling out of love with pizza for decades? Pizza was America's go-to comfort food, of course, cheap, convenient, almost just about everywhere. But today, the slice that once ruled the restaurant world is losing ground. Industry data showing pizzerias, once the second most common restaurant type in the country, are now outnumbered by coffee shops and Mexican food eateries. Pizza sales growing more slowly than the rest of the fast food industry. Several well-known chains, in fact, have filed for bankruptcy for closed locations. Or they've closed locations. What's changed really? Consumers now have more choices than ever. Food delivery apps put everything from tacos to Thai food just a tap away. A $20 pizza can feel expensive when fast food deals, frozen pizzas, or even home-cooked meals cost far less. Younger diners are still eating pizza, but are becoming more selective about where and how often they order it. Major pizza brands are feeling the heat. Pizza Hut, Papa John's, others reportedly rethinking their business models. They are closing underperforming locations, experimenting with new menus, prices, store designs reportedly. Some chains even exploring potential sales as they try to stay relevant. Americans still eat plenty of pizza. About 1 in 10 people have a slice on any given day. But pizza's dominance is clearly fading. Once a novelty, then a staple, pizza is now just one option in a crowded and competitive food industry. Has America hit peak pizza? Or can the slice make a comeback is the question. A Japanese sushi entrepreneur has shattered records at Tokyo's prestigious New Year tuna auction, paying a whopping $3.2 million for a single bluefin tuna. The tuna king, as he is called, hopes the giant fish will bring luck and energy to diners, as the prized catch was carved into sushi rolls for customers. Take a look. We now revisit a story of destruction, rebuilding, and unwavering faith. 2026 marking 1,000 years since the first attack on the Somnath Temple, an incident that shaped India's history and faith. Marking the historic milestone of 1,000 years, Prime Minister Modi wrote in an op-ed that Somnath stands as a symbol of India's strength. He said the temple survived repeated attacks and still inspires pride. Somnath is situated on India's western coast in the state of Gujarat. In January 1026, Mahmud of Ghazni attacked the temple, and since then the temple was attacked and destroyed over a dozen times. But it continues to stand as a powerful symbol of belief. As Somnath rose again and again, the Prime Minister said the temple remains glorious because people worked tirelessly to rebuild it. He also noted that May 2026 will mark 75 years since the restored temple opened to devotees. After India's independence in 1947, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel led the push to rebuild Somnath. India's first Prime Minister also was believed to be worried about the state appearing to back a religious project. Despite that debate, President Dr. Rajendra Prasad inaugurated the rebuilt temple on May 11, 1951, praising Patel's role and calling Somnath a symbol of resilience. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas. Thanks for watching.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness. WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS Centenary Year, Kesariya at 100.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asia,